Okay, this is our third of 3 videos for Project 3. This is where you make it all real, where it really all comes together. So, I have gone back to my first concept. That was the one I wanted to draw. You'll notice a couple of things. I have drawn all my letters. I have given them a black fill, so they are actually black and white. You do not want to leave those pink. This is an important thing to remember as you're working on this. Those pink outlines are just useful for tracing. You're not going to leave them pink. I'm going to hide my scan layer. You may notice that my end layers are a fair amount different from what I drew in my scan. And that's fine. You may update, you may change things. What you want to do now is you want to hide the scan layer. So the little eyeball next to the layer, click it so it's hidden, so that you're only seeing your art layer. You want to print this. Print it out on a black and white printer, a single sheet of US letter paper, and look at the printout. Look at how it actually looks printed at 100% in black and white. That's the time to take your fine line red marker and mark up any issues you see, any problems you have. Sometimes things can look perfect to us on the screen, and then we print them out and we see a bunch of problems, or something looks a little different. So take that time, print it out, mark it up, fix any change, fix any problems that you noticed. Basically, you want to keep doing that until you get a printout where you're like, all right, that looks how I want it to look. I've got it. That's a process you should go through with any design work, really. Just, look at it in its final medium. Make sure you're good with it. Don't settle for just good enough. Make it look as beautiful as you can make it look. All right, so I'm working with and if you have the scan layer hidden, that will not print. All right, so it will just print what you've drawn here. So I'm going to go to, I'm going to assume that you've done all that. All right, I printed this. It's exactly what I want it to be. I think it's beautiful. I shared it with my professor. He said, "Oh yeah, that looks good." All right, so I'm going to take the final step of our brief, which is to create 5 example words in the bottom half of the page. All right, I'm going to show you how to do that now. So you want to select your 5 letters together. So you, with the selection tool, you can draw a selection around all 5 of them. And if you remember, you hold down Option and Shift, you will make a copy, and it will constrain to a perfect 0-degree angle below. Excuse me. So I've made a perfect copy. Now what I want to do is I want to make this 75% of the size of the one up above. So I go to my scale tool, make sure I click Uniform, and I click 75%. You want to turn on scale strokes and effects. That means if you have an outline, if you have an effect, that will scale too. Hit OK, and now I have this it's exactly 75% the size of that. I'm going to pull over a guide to the leftmost part of my top letters, and then I'm going to drag my lower, smaller letters over so that they left align up here. Okay? Now I'm going to copy this smaller copy 4 more times. All right. You want to have 5 copies down here. Now, I just sort of eyeballed it to make it look like it's a reasonable distance apart. Actually, after we go to the words, after we do the words, I'll show you how to space it out a little bit better. So, you want to using these 4 letters, spell out 5 different words. And your words should be at least 3 letters long. They may be longer, but they shouldn't be any shorter than 3 letters. Okay? So, let's zoom in on our top letter. I'm going to spell the word one. So I'm going to first select all the components of my N together, and I'm going to hold down Shift and just slide them to the left. I'm going to select my O together, hold down Shift, slide this to the left. Bring the N back over here. I'm going to delete the A because I don't need it in the word one, and I'm going to bring this back. Now, as for your kerning, your spacing between the letters, just try to make it look somewhat even. We haven't really gotten in-depth into kerning yet. You will go through Kerning Boot Camp in Project 4, but for now just try to give it a decent amount of space in between. Alright, so I've spelled out the word one there. I'm gonna spell out the word anon, as in anonymous, on the line below. So, holding down Shift when you move things will keep it constrained on the same angle, and this means that you won't have problems with a bouncing baseline. Assuming you drew all your letters to look like they're on the same baseline, if you select them now, hold down Shift when you move them or Shift when you make copies, it will keep them constrained. Alright, so there's anon. Well, that's 2 words I could think of. One, anon. I'm having trouble thinking of other words that use these. I mean, it's not that hard, but I want to show you a cool website. So, this website, adhesiontext.com, is very cool for proofing type when you're working with it. So I have 4 letters, N, O, A, and E. I have those 4 letters. My script is Latin. My language is English. Those are the only 4 letters I have. If I click text, get text, it does a little processing and it comes up with tons and tons of words using those 4 letters. Wow, that's a lot, huh? Well, that's only 4 letters. So, if you have trouble thinking of words that use these 4 letters, go in here. Take a look at this. There's a whole lot. So I might do noon and anana, which is pineapple, I think. None is another one. Ano. There's Anna. So there are neon. Neon's a good one. So a wealth of words there. So if you have trouble, look at adhesiontext.com. All right. So I'm gonna go down here. I'm gonna make this one neon. N-E-O-N. Now the point of this, why are you going through this exercise? Oops, didn't mean to rotate my E, pardon me. The point of this exercise is to actually see your letters starting to behave as a font would behave. And this is what makes designing a typeface different from doing a piece of lettering. That when you design a typeface, your your letters have to work in any combination. Piece of lettering, you can make it custom for the word or words that you're doing. But type, it needs to work in any spelling or misspelling in any language on earth. So this is to just get a taste of how once you've designed a typeface, it then becomes a little bit out of your control in some ways. All right. So I've spelled out my 5 words. Again, they just need to be real words. They should be at least 3 letters long. They can be longer. All right. This is what your sheet looks like. Now I feel like this looks a little crowded down here, vertically speaking. My leading looks a little crowded, and it looks a little uneven. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take each word, I'm going to group it. Object, group, object, group. You can also do it with Command G, Command G, Command G. And this makes each word its own object, in a sense. And with that, I can take my bottom one, move it down. I can select all 5, and you will see these alignment tools. If I go to this one, which is vertical distribute bottom, this will keep the value of my top one, keep the value of my bottom one, and then distribute the ones in between evenly. So I do that, and it looks very even. I'm going to move this down a hair more, select them all, vertical distribute bottom, ta-da! It looks nice and even. I know it's mathematically perfect. All right, so this is just a demonstration of how your letters work together as words. The very last thing you need to do, you need to go to the type tool, and with an actual font in the bottom, it defaults to Myriad Pro 12 point. It should default to regular. You will type your name. What did that tell you? Your name, the project number, type 1, and the semester. All right, that will just be down here at the bottom. This is just to identify your work when you hand it in. All right, so you're going to save this project. You're going to print it. You're going to give me an 8.5 by 11 printout. You're also going to give me a PDF, which you can email to me. And that is very easy to create. File, save as, and down here, format, you just switch it to Adobe PDF. And you'll notice up here, it changed from .ai to .pdf. You save it as a PDF. You can preserve the Illustrator editing capabilities. You can embed the thumbnails, that's fine. Save the PDF. Perfect. You are done. Except, I want to show you one thing that happens. This is This panics students every semester. They look at their PDF in the Finder, they might click on it to get a preview, and they see their scan. Like, hey, what happened? I hid that layer. What's the problem? This is just a bit of weirdness with the Apple operating system. If you have a hidden layer in a PDF, it will show it just in the preview. However, if you open this in Acrobat, it does not show the hidden layers. Why it shows it on preview, I don't know. If you open it with the preview application that's built into Apple, so basically it shows that hidden layer. But so if you open it in Acrobat, it does not show it. Basically, Apple doesn't respect hidden layers. Adobe does. So that's it. You're done.